Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to the last episode of Redacted for 2023, the show where I normally take a look at records that have a solid foundation but a spotty execution and make it a smoother listening experience out of it all. However, this month, instead of doing what I was teasing in the listening log, an episode on Outcast, I'm instead going to be bringing back the subject that I was going to do to send off this year in the vein of giving a concept a second chance on this show to close out the year of second chances within this segment. The concept in question that I'm tackling is making an album where there wasn't one. By taking a look at all of these singles an artist had released throughout a time frame without an album and trying to make an album's length experience out of it that sort of has a, at least if not through line throughout some of the lyrics, a sonic cohesion that makes for an album-like listening experience. Which is oddly enough a concept that has been fruitful in being an idea well of sorts for me for the show, and plan on doing a few more times next year. This particular one is just a less serious, more fun excursion to close out 2023 by indulging in some debauchery, some sexual, embracing one's own sexual promiscuity, and also just showcasing a rapper's pen game on top of that. The rapper in question is Chicagoan Cupcakke, and I'm going to be pulling together the singles she has been dropping post her last two albums releases into one album that I'm going to be calling H2Hoe.
Well, sleep mask every time I fuck him so I won't see him come quicker than I be blinking.
Now, with all of that set up, the actual execution of pulling together all 14 singles that Cupcakke's dropped post-2018, which is the last year that she dropped any full-length release. She did drop two albums, which was going to be a Redacted, but I'm doing this one because I think it's an interesting practice in sequencing. You know, Cupcakke doesn't really write concept albums. Her music does, you know, have moments where it leans into some, like, embracing of one's own sexual promiscuity or one's own sexual endeavors, full stop. And there's a lot of that on H2Hoe. The album itself is sort of a lean into that. But she also has had moments throughout the last handful of years where she's dropped some just bangers and some tracks that have more storytelling elements. So I kind of sprinkled all those components together. I sort of mixed them around and created an experience that I think is a fun listen for those who like Cupcakke. And I'm sure if you do like Cupcakke, you've heard some, if not all of these singles. Some of them became memes online. And as a whole, I think all of these tracks really embody Cupcakke's artistry tenfold, and I didn't want to leave any single behind. And so they're all here in a 47-minute arrangement that I hope that you enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and talk about sort of the reasons why I placed the tracks that I did in the order that they did, along with the tracks themselves after showing them right now.
Better know what I'm about, cause I make them pay the bills to get in my jeans. You need some lemon pepper and mouse sauce on that dick. Lemon pepper and mouse sauce on that dick. If your dick tastes plain, then I'm throwing a fit. If you piss me off, it's a shit show, cause I'ma do some shit that you can't believe. Smack a bitch into Christmas Eve. When I fight, I do not pull weak. His dick smaller than my toes. Yeah, yeah, smaller than my toes. His dick smaller than my toes. Mosh Pit. I'm about to put a hole in him. Mosh Pit. About to put a hole in him. Mosh Pit. About to pass that up, I'ma cash that buck. And my grass stay cut, won't last off luck, no cash, but I cut niggas fast as fuck. I been AG, no wagon a truck. I'm an accomplice, mate, I just say. Acting like I like him till he pay, cause mortgage ain't Freeman, okay. I'm such a roaches, so I just hold the cup and say cheers. No, I don't wanna drink, give a fuck what you think. And my attitude stink, but my pussy still pink. Walk in with a mint drip hard like to see y'all in the face with a dick. Beat it on my lips, shit, the sex is wild. And that's code for 3 talented kids. When I say I swallow Destiny Child, I'm feeling ya, fuck 12, no pedophilia. Keep a bank with me like a Zillia. When a verse then I'm billing ya. Nigga thought he was getting that. All my life when you fuck that bitch, I couldn't understand how a nigga so bold. When I done got your dick way harder than some motherfucking Mac. Ayesha, Ayesha, Ayesha Curry. Ayesha, Ayesha, Ayesha Curry. These soldiers want my attention. Sting, I'm outside pulling strings like a bitch flying kites. And no, I don't rock mics. Red bottles with the spikes, tinted windows out of sight. Me thirsty as fuck, I ain't giving him shit. Better swallow his spit. All that lurking on my motherfucking page. Till it's oops, I ain't mean I like that bit. Cause nobody knows you, unfortunately, that's the way life goes. Let her meet a guy, now she got the white gown to match some dirty whites.
I wanted 2 sexy bangers out the gate that had a little bit of, you know, leaning into some not taking yourself too serious. And I think that Moonwalk, out of all the singles dropped, is probably the one that sounds the most like an intro to me. And plus, like, starting your next album on a song inspired by the King of Pop with a, you know, more hook-driven writing, what better way to go? And I think Lemon Pepper is just a funny follow-up. Just talking about dick not being good enough, and how much of a turnoff that is. You know, you're willing to moonwalk on the dick for the right dick, but if it's not, you gotta season that shit, you know? But I don't want to keep it in that realm for too long, so I pivoted into a track that has a good, just hard-hitting piano with some low end that knocks, and Cupcakke goes the fuck off. This is probably one of my favorite singles out of all the ones that she's released, and I think that it's got good penned and channeled aggression and frustration sort of purged. It's also arguably the one that's gotten the biggest out of all the ones that she's dropped, because it was like a trend a couple different times on TikTok as a big song, so I feel like putting it early in the track listing to keep them hooked is a good move. But that was only a sidestep, because from there, since that track sort of fades out and washes away, I wanted to have Squidward's Nose sort of fade in and act as like a sort of meme twofer, because Squidward's Nose was going big when it dropped because its hook is hilarious. Again, talking about how she's not just gonna settle for some tacky or like low-grade dick, and who's gonna blame her? But from there, I do pivot again from the memes or from the overall sexual-driven tracks with Mosh Pit and Bird Box, 2 bangers of different cloths. One, a horn-led bass booming track with Mosh Pit having Cupcakke going in on the hook and leading into some of the frustrations from Squidward Nose, but in a broader sense, before going into a more moodier driven banger with Bird Box. I love the beat on Bird Box, and I love the stage setting and, you know, sort of narrative style that Cupcakke writes on this track. Overall, I think this is a fucking choice jam that she dropped, and I feel like it acts as a good sort of mood sort of extender from the last track, but again, just kind of keeping it broody with just a knockin' beat. I don't want to dwell in that sort of moodier atmosphere, though, for too long. I wanted to go back to some just bangers through what I'm calling the title track in this at this point, to keep some of that electronic ambience, but pivoting the energy just a bit. I think it can almost be seen as like a flip on some of the storytelling in that, and just keeping that energy again a little more bright, before reintroducing some of the energy from some of the tracks earlier in the track listing with Elephant, which has some lyrics that talk about Cupcakke's dormancy, and it acts as a good, like, I really am back bitch track, and I think acts as a good album track-ass song whose beat, again, just sort of carries the energy from H2Hoe. That's sort of been just sort of my goal throughout this stretch of Bird Box through, is to keep the mood sort of shifting around, but that energy just palpable, that comes to a good slowdown and delves back into that just sexiness on Gum, a track about sucking dick and having it get stuck in your mouth like gum. It's a Cupcakke-ass Cupcakke song, and if I've been dipping away from some of those ideas, I knew I had to bring it back, and it comes back and forth, and this is just that dance I play, and just a moment when it comes back in before dipping back with Discounts, another banger where Cupcakke again just goes off on some of the doubters, her exes, and those says that she can't deliver, but she does with just pure fucking heat. Before going into some balladry-esque realms with Mickey, a track that shifts the energy heavily, but again keeps that bass-driven low end just thudding as she continues to sort of vent her frustrations, but some in a realm that's just more fed up than outright just angry. It's more reflecting on wanting more and ending up without it and flipping them off at the end of the day. A track I used to sort of round out the soundscape to sort of curve some of the energy a little bit, because throughout the next couple of tracks, it definitely still reflects on the things that she's been frustrated out in pockets of this, but does so in a realm more wanting to tackle it differently, like on Ayesha and Law Jesus, where Ayesha, she, again, talks about two tracks that sort of talk about the gossip or like the people around her, people being mad, people being haters, whether it be the ladies mad at how much Cupcakke smashes and how good she is at it, or how she's been both tackling herself and how it's been affecting her finances, like on Law Jesus, and her tackling the people that have been going after her amidst all of this. Which I think its ending rounds really well into Marge Simpson, and that's kind of was my goal, especially throughout this last three-peat stretch, because from Marge Simpson, where she talks about how loyal she is to the dick that she loves, a good hook-driven track that feels like Cupcakke sort of just laughing at those that she knows that she doesn't need to waste her time with anymore, which coming after Lord Jesus kind of feels like a nice inner resolve before going even harder at him on Huhhhh, again, further solidifying why she really has good pen game over a banger beat. But I wanted to have one last show-stopping number close it off, and that's why Whoregasm is what sends this album off into the sunset with this lush, slower-paced, orgasm-filled track where Cupcakke breaks down the second-to-second pleasure she's feeling in such luscious detail. With a record like this where Cupcakke is going after everybody, including those that gave her bad dick, I figured she should close it out with how she really likes it. And that was how I would do H2Hoe. A version of Cupcakke that might actually have some, light within the future of Cupcakke if she is pulling together a record of her stuff, some of her stuff that she's dropped since she left us. I'd hope she'd include some of these tracks, but this is all of them with stuff that I've seen outside of some of the remix and stuff that she's done. Did you like it? Was this a weird way to end this year? Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I drop 2 to 4 vids a week depending on what I've got going on. I got some more stuff. I got some fun stuff dropping throughout the rest of this week and throughout next to close out the year. But either way, thank you so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations. And I'll see you another day.